What's going on, everybody? A very different sort of video today. Today we got someone who hasn't been featured on my channel since probably the American Dream vlog a little over 2 months ago. We got Beyond the Thrills with us tonight.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
And so this was actually my idea. We're going to be discussing what we think is a potential chopping block for the Universal and Disney Florida parks, with the exception of Epic Universe, just because, well, the park's not even a year old. They're not going to go getting rid of stuff that quick. And
Right, yeah, there will be an expansion before anything is removed, which I would say will probably be before 2030, but
oh, for sure.
I'm not going to say within the next year or two. I would say more
No, it's,
2028, 2029, I could see an expansion.
I would be very surprised if it's before that.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, like, generally, the time frame that I'm putting on a lot of these that we're going to be discussing about the video is 5 to 10 years. Although there are some that I think could be gone a lot sooner than that, but that's generally like the time frame that we're looking at. And so, do you want to start with Universal Studios, Florida?
Sure. It looks like the first one here we have is Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon.
Since Hollywood Drift is opening next year, they're closing Supercharge next year. I'm thinking, they could close this without much notice. I don't think very many people would care because it's one of the most widely hated rides in the resort. So I think they could close this and Supercharge at the same time and retheme that whole New York area to Hollywood. I feel like it makes too much sense to not do. And I just feel like, they're going to want to dust their hands off of this sooner rather than later.
So, here's what I'll say. For
And it's very easy
starters,
to control too, I might add.
yeah. So for starters, I'm not sure I'd say Jimmy Fallon is one of the worst attractions at Universal. I feel like there is definitely an audience and it definitely does have a fan base. It's not a top attraction or anything, but I wouldn't put it on the level of Supercharged, and I'd honestly say more people probably like it better than Simpsons now too. I mean, it's definitely the technology is definitely way more up to date. Simpsons is very, very outdated.
I mean, Simpsons' ride system is when did Back to the Future open? Was it 91, 92, something like that?
Right, right. Like I personally
That
think
ride
race.
system is over 30 years old by now.
Right. I personally think Jimmy Fallon is one of the better motion simulator attractions out there, but for Universal standards, yeah, it's one of the weaker attractions. That just says a lot about the other dark rides like Forbidden Journey, Monsters Unchained. Um, I would even
Spider-Man.
say Spider Man. I would even say Skull Island Reign of Kong is way better than Jimmy Fallon. But anyway, you said that you think they would retheme the New York section to Hollywood?
I could see that with the addition of Hollywood Drift and, whatever they end up deciding for a Superchargers replacement. And I feel like, this and Supercharged are very similar in the sense that, both attractions are very easily replaceable. And,
Right,
whatever they put in its place, it probably wouldn't be that big of a it wouldn't have to be that big of a project.
right. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. But here's what I'll say about that. So there obviously is already a Hollywood section of the park where the Born Stuntacular is, horror makeup show. And it never really made sense to me that Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, not that the coaster was where it was at. That made sense. The fact that it was called Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket and it wasn't called like, something New York. And also
Yeah, for Mississippi either.
Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift. I'm surprised it's using the Hollywood Drift name and not New York Drift or Orlando Drift or something like
I
that because
honestly
it
thought they were
is
going
in the
with
New
Orlando
York.
Drift initially.
Yeah, no, I did too. I'm very surprised that it's going to be called Hollywood Drift as well. But where that coaster sits, that section is becoming like an illumination section. They have the meet and greet with all the characters from Sing and Despicable Me. They obviously have Villain
Yeah.
Con and Minion Mayhem right there on that strip. So,
And those aren't going anywhere anytime soon, as long as because that's the most popular property that they have right now.
Yes, definitely. I honestly think Transformers eventually will become an Illumination dark ride, whether it's Sync, Secret Life of Pets. It at some point, Transformers I think will be replaced, and it will be an Illumination attraction. But
I think so
anyway,
too. I don't think it's one. I don't think it's a top contender, but I could see it farther down the line.
right, right. So I guess what I'll say is I get where you're coming from, but I don't see a world where there's two sections of the park that are Hollywood. It makes sense, but I personally just don't see it because, I mean, well, for one, I don't think they would remove the New York
I
section.
honestly kind of forgot that the area I'm been since 2017, so I completely forgot that the area where the Born Stunt Show is was Hollywood already. So, oopsies,
Yeah,
my bad on that.
yeah, no, that's okay. With that being Hollywood and the fact that, you have the Mummy and you have the Universal production company, they still film commercials and music videos and TV shows using the New York streets. I don't see a world where the New York streets go anywhere. So, um, personally, I think whatever replaces Jimmy Fallon will be a attraction that fits in the New York section once again. Now, how much longer do you think it has at the park?
So, I think that this maybe has, I could see next year, I could see 2028, but I would say that the latest I'm going is 2029.
Yeah, again, it's one of those attractions that
My
I
my current.
think yeah, I think it's one of those attractions that people won't care, like the majority will not care if it's removed, and
I wouldn't.
they won't care if it's removed, and they also won't care if it stays as is. I don't think it's like I said, I think it does have an audience. I think it definitely does have some fans out there, but I think it's just one of those attractions that it's great. It has great capacity. It's air conditioned. There's a lot of pros to it. So I'm not sure this is an attraction that Universal is looking to move in the next 5 years. It's going to happen eventually, but I think with Supercharged and Hollywood Drift,
Supercharged. I mean, if you guys saw my 5 year plan video, I predicted Supercharged closing in 28. It's a year earlier than I expected. Although 27 or 28, whichever one they went with, wasn't going to surprise me.
oh, you said 28.
Yeah, in my 5 year plan video I did back in like August, I originally said 28 for Supercharged closing. It's going to be a year earlier than I thought, but whether I pick 27 or 28, neither or was going to surprise me at all.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So I think 2030 we'll go with for Race Through New York. 2030 or
That's
2029 or 2030.
I would say I'm kind of split. I would say maybe tail end of 2029, very beginning of 2030 is the absolute cap.
Okay. We
Like
shall
I would
see
say
what
by like
happens.
spring 2030, we can probably kiss it goodbye.
Okay. Well, we shall see what happens. So that was Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon. Next we have here is The Simpsons ride. So I already touched on it a little bit, obviously. Very outdated.
Yeah, and I mean, I heard that they might be renewing the contract, but I know that the Simpsons, the franchise, like the new seasons aren't very well liked. I know they got a second movie coming out that could, potentially escalate its popularity again, but that is no guarantee by any stretch. And if it doesn't, I think that this could be out the door sooner rather than later. Especially knowing that Disney is probably going to end up looking to use that in their parks at some point. I just kind of the renewing a contract would initially make it sound more promising, but I just I don't see it making it past 2028 regardless.
Yeah, so obviously Disney acquired 20th Century Fox. So now they have the rights to The Simpsons. They don't have the theme park rights yet, but they will once this contract is up. So the tough thing about it is, I think the Springfield area itself, with all the games and Krusty Burger and the Lard Lad Donuts, is very popular. You know, you got the Duff
Yeah.
Beer, Flaming Moe's. There's a lot of great components to the Springfield area, and I think for the most part, the general public love it. The ride itself, not so much, but the
Yeah, it's kind of
area,
lackluster.
yeah, the area I think is very popular, but the ride itself, I don't think is all that popular anymore. Like I said, very outdated, and you know, as technology continues to evolve and we get these newer dark rides, it's like blatantly obvious that
I
it's
mean,
older. Where
I mean, do you
I would
that
argue ET actually, like, you would think The Simpsons was older than ET. I think honestly ET has held up better than The Simpsons.
Oh, for sure. And while we're on the topic of this, do you think that if the main area is still popular, do you think it's possible that they can maybe just rip out the ride and replace it with a Simpsons trackless dark ride, while keeping the rest of the area intact?
Um, Possibly. Like, honestly, I see a
It would be
world
tough,
where,
but it's just an idea.
yeah, I mean,
That
honestly,
could probably work.
it's interesting. Honestly, I could see a world where the Simpsons ride is taken out of the whole, and they just don't replace it with anything. The area could just stay as is, and that land where the Simpsons ride is currently at now, they could either reuse the building or tear down the building and add an attraction in DreamWorks Land.
Honestly, I could definitely see a world where that happens too.
Yeah, there's so many rumors. I think eventually the Simpsons as a whole will, I think Disney's going
I
to
think
take
this has been
full.
on the chopping block for some time now.
Yeah, I think Disney eventually is going to take full ownership, but I think Simpsons has at the Simpsons property has at least another 5 years at Universal. As for the ride, that I'm not sure.
I think I think the ride is definitely going to be gone much sooner than 5 years.
The ride, yes. The area, I'm not sure. The area they may phase out, but the ride, yeah, I don't think it has much longer.
No. So now we got
So, what do
one
you want to
more for
say? So, what do you want to say for The Simpsons? 2028, 2027?
um I could really see either or, but I mean, I think my money's on 28. I don't think it's very likely they're gonna remove it the same year that the second movie comes out, but I think 28 is its final year. It'll probably be, if I had to guess, probably like right before Halloween Horror Nights, right around the same time year they close Riptide Rocket. I think that's what I'm gonna
I
go
could
with.
see that. Okay.
I think there's some merit behind it. The next one, I feel like this one's been pretty long in the tooth for some time now.
Ooh, Men in Black Alien Attack. So far of the three attractions we've talked about, this is easily the most popular.
But I mean, the franchise has been kind of falling off in terms of popularity. I don't think there's been a movie since 2019, and that last movie, as far as I know, flopped pretty bad. And another thing that I'm kind of thinking about here is, this takes up a lot of space, and it's right next to the abandoned, for nearly half a decade at this point, Fear Factor Live. And they just added the same type of
That is
ride
true.
on the other side of the park,
That
into a
is true.
much more relevant IP. So I think that, and supposedly I heard, I don't know if this is true, I've heard the Men in Blacks, the gift shop doesn't even sell Men in Black merch anymore. And so I think that,
No, it does. I mean, you haven't been there in a while, I know. The last 2 years I've been there, it does sell Men in Black merchandise, but it sells more than just Men in Black. But no, it does have a Men in Black section. I would say 40% of the store is still Men in Black merchandise.
but I think, how much space it takes up waning popularity of the franchise, and the fact that they just added another ride just like it on the other side of the park. I think that, those are all, reasons to think it could go.
Right. So, like I said, this is one of the more popular attractions. Definitely the most popular of the three we've talked about so far. I personally
Yeah.
think Men in Black Alien Attack is one of the best shooting dark rides there is. I think it's honestly aged tremendously. It still is a great ride to this day. I would be sad to see it go, but again, you know, they have to, you know, target a certain audience, and I'm not sure there's an audience for Men in Black anymore. I think people still love the ride, but
I don't think it's as timeless as some of their other properties, though.
I agree. Like E.T., for example, I think can, you know, I just don't see a world where E.T. is ever removed. That's just timeless.
Yeah. This, I would probably say, I think Jimmy Fallon and Simpsons are on their way out first. I would say that this is 2000, maybe 2031. I think whatever they replace this with, they're gonna loop it in with the abandoned Fear Factor Live, and that's a decent plot of land. You know, you could put really anything there.
Definitely. So I'm gonna say for Men in Black, 2031. It's got a couple more years.
I am, I can get behind that.
I think of the three we've talked about so far, this one definitely will last the longest. I think it's still popular enough that they're not in much of a rush to remove it.
Yeah, I think the other two they're gonna be out the door pretty decently long before this, or at least at least a year before this.
Right. Also forgot to mention, say Universal decides to have a Nintendo property in all three of their theme parks. You obviously have Super Mario at Epic Universe now. Legends of Zelda has been rumored to go to Islands of Adventure for the longest time now. And say Pokemon goes to Studios.
I could see Pokemon taking over this in Fear Factor Live.
Same here. I agree. Everyone says it's going to be the Simpsons area, but not necessarily.
I originally thought that too, but come to think about it, I think this makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, because I don't even think they use that Fear Factor live theater during Hollywood Horror Nights anymore either.
I don't even know, but as far as I know, you know,
I think for
it's
a
pretty much been
little,
abandoned since 2020
yeah,
when you know what happened.
I think for the first couple years post COVID of Halloween Horror Nights, they had a show there, but I know the last like 2 to 3 years they haven't used it at all. It's just pretty much abandoned.
Yeah. There's I mean, I'm personally shocked that they haven't done it. I'm personally shocked they haven't tore it down at this point.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with that area down the line. So
But I'm
let's say
thinking, you know, they're probably
2030
waiting.
then, or 2031 for Men in Black. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think, you know, while on the topic of this, I think the reason they haven't tore the Fear Factor Live Theater out yet is because, you know, they're probably waiting to tear out this as well, and then, you know, they're gonna have something massive to replace them both. They're probably just waiting until, you know, Men in Black's time comes, which is, you know, 2030, 31.
2030 to 2031. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, I think that's the time frame that I'm probably comfortable putting it with. Now, now we're on the Islands of Adventure. Now, this one, I don't want this to go. Believe me, I do not want. If there's any one of these where I sincerely hope I'm wrong, it's this. But I'm hearing rumors that they might start wanting to put the DC characters into the Universal parks, and supposedly they can't really expand this land other than, you know, the most they could do is like refurb, you know, the current rides that they have, but they can't expand this land, which, you know, gets me thinking, you know, it could be on the chopping block, but I don't think it's within the next 5 years. Like, I think the last three we talked about are all much more imminent removals than this. But and you know, you got to consider the whole Disney thing now as well.
well.
I could see it. I think we know we're probably at least 8 years away.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it's anytime soon, man. I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened already. Personally,
Yeah, I mean, I was actually contemplating putting this or the Dr. Seuss land on the list, but something made me end up going with
Both
this.
lands are just so popular, and honestly, you know,
They'd be making a mistake if they got rid of this, though.
Universal has paid that contract for so long now, and they're pre 2009 Marvel Comics, which is completely different from Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, honestly, they could have Avengers Campus if they really wanted to at Disney World. I understand why they don't, because you have the Spider-Man ride at Islands of Adventure. Do you really want web slingers over in Disney World? I get it, but like,
Especially when it's a much worse ride as is
yeah, like I get it, but
than the one that opened
it's also
20 years
Marvel's
before it.
so popular that I don't think anyone would have a problem with it, to be honest.
You do have a point there, but I don't think that this one is anytime soon. But I'm just saying, like this is like really, really long term. But the fact
Oh,
that
I'll
they're talking
say
about bringing like
I
the
say we're a
DC,
decade away. I'll say
yeah, at minimum.
2036. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon, man.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're talking about putting the DC characters into the Universal parks kind of makes me scratch my head a bit, but they might have other plans for that we just don't know about.
Right. So we'll say 10 years of Marvel Superhero Island,
Yeah, at the absolute bare
which
minimum.
I'd be all for.
I'd be
Spider
surprised if that even
Man
happened.
has still, to this day, one of the best dark rides, which is insane because it was an opening day attraction. And The Incredible Hulk is
And especially
still.
it's better than some of the 2010 ones,
I
or
know.
the ones from the 20. I mean,
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. It's still a top 5 dark ride for me, and I've ridden a lot of
me
great
too.
dark rides. Um, and the Incredible Hulk is still a kick-ass B&M looper. So, I mean, two iconic attractions there that people love. So, I mean, honestly, I think Universal would get a ton of backlash too if they were to remove those
Oh yeah,
attractions.
this would probably be even worse than the backlash that Hollywood Studios got when they closed Muppets last year, which is that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. So we'll say another decade of Marvel. Next,
And now
Toon Lagoon.
I don't think. Now I'm just gonna blurt this out right now. I do not think either of these rides are gonna be removed. I think a retheme is a lot more likely. But I'm also hearing that the contract with that Universal has with those properties ends. I think I heard 29, 2030, something like that. But I don't think the rides are going anywhere. I think it's just gonna be a retheme sometime in the future. But the rides are going nowhere.
Again, do kids really know who Popeye is, or Dudley Do Right, or Betty Boop?
Popeye maybe, but Dudley Do Right no. I mean, I didn't even when I first wrote that.
Yeah, do they know who Dudley Do Right
I really
is,
still
or
don't even care to be
Betty
honest.
Boop, or you know what I mean? Like, probably not. But again, it goes
I
back
mean,
to the topic of these comic strip characters are pretty timeless.
I mean, even with Kid Zone, I don't think a lot of kids knew who 50 was before that closed.
American Tail, yeah. Same with Woody Woodpecker.
But
But
yeah, I
the
don't
thing
think.
is that area, as well as the Day in the Life with Barney, were never as popular as Toon Lagoon. Toon Lagoon, dude,
You
people
do have a
love
point
Dudley
there.
Do Rights and Popeye still to this day. Those are two of the best water rides out there.
I don't. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think maybe some retheme down the line, but those are going nowhere.
I agree. Yeah. So I don't even think we need to put a date on.
No, I'm
I don't even
not.
think we need to put a year or time frame
I
on
don't think
these
it's
two. I
necessary.
think this area is going to stay as is. There's also something to be said about the fact that every island at Islands of Adventure is still, besides, you know, like the Merlin area, which is now Hogsmeade. Besides that, all of the other islands are still the same as they were on opening day. You got Seuss Landing, Lost Continent,
That's genuinely insane to me.
Jurassic Park, yeah, and they all still hold up. Like, you could argue Dr.
Yeah,
Seuss. I mean, the Cat in the Hat ride is definitely outdated. I think that could use a little TLC. But
those those thing one and thing two animatronics still haunt me to this day.
yeah, yeah. But again, same thing, pretty timeless.
Yeah.
So next will be
Now we're on to this is one of everything. I think that now we're on to Magic Kingdom. I think this is probably the one that's the most likely sayonara in the short term.
oh, I give it a year left at
I
Magic Kingdom.
I would not be surprised at all if this is next. And to be honest, I think what's going to happen with this is that they're going to announce the closure for either spring or summer of next year at or right after this year's D23. So I think that the main reason that this is going to be gone so soon, well, it's been struggling attendance wise as is over recent years, and the other show going to Monstropolis, replacing Muppet Vision, is it sounds like it's gonna be basically the same thing, but I'm hearing some updated technology and possibly an animatronic. So if that's just a slightly better version of this, I think it would be foolish to keep this around, especially if it's been struggling over recent years. And kind of another thing that I'm thinking here is that, like this closure and, the upcoming Space Ranger Spin refurb could be part of a bigger Tomorrowland overlay. That's pretty deep into the future, but that's just kind of, what I'm thinking. But I think as far as, when this could close, I think spring or summer of 27 is I I don't see why I wouldn't be spring or summer of 27 at this point.
Yeah, man. It's definitely going to be interesting to see. I think you're absolutely right. I think I'm like
There's no
90.
reason to think that this isn't on its way out.
Yeah, I think it's like 95% confirmed at this point that a updated version of Laugh Floor is what's going in the old Muppet Vision building. So
It rubs me the wrong way a bit.
as for what could replace this in Magic Kingdom, we'll have to see.
I
But
mean, I think the fact that, Stitch is regaining popularity again, I think they're going to want to do something, like that in Stitch's Great Escape Old area. Not saying bring back the old terrifying ride, but, a newer, maybe more kid friendly Stitch attraction. That's kind of just what I think.
they definitely could. They definitely could.
So given that
So
the live action movie was like a smash hit last year,
right,
they already got
right.
one coming.
So I guess for Laugh Floor, we'll say 2027.
I would say spring or summer of 27 easily.
Yep. So I think that was a pretty quick one. I think we could move on from that one. That's pretty
Yeah.
inevitable. Okay. Aladdin. Hmm. I
I
actually
think
didn't know you were gonna put this one on here.
so. The main reason why I think this, and this could be subject to change, because as far as I know, they don't even know what's happening right now. But
No, they don't. You're right.
the main reason why I'm putting this on here is because Villains Land is rumored to have an Ursula spinner, and this, that would be the third spinner in the park. And I had to choose between this or Dumbo to get rid of, and I think it's going to be this all the way.
Of
I
the
don't really
three,
know.
yes, I don't see a world where they remove Dumbo. If it was between this and Dumbo, yeah, I think Dumbo would stay.
I mean, I don't really know I don't know what year this is gonna go. I think Laugh Floor is most definitely gonna go before this, but I mean Villains Land,
It's got a couple years left,
infrastructure
I
work,
think. The
I think so. I
carpets.
mean Villains Land infrastructure work is not starting until 2028, I heard supposedly, so we're looking at 2033. I hate to be that guy, but they're not getting that thing done in under 5 years. If infrastructure work doesn't start till 2028, let's be real.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're probably right.
So I think that this. I mean, I still think this is probably going to go anyway, even if it doesn't end up being the Ursula spinner in Villains Land. So I would say Villains Land opens in 2033,
Right.
2032 maybe if I had to put a year on this one.
Okay. Yeah, I can get behind that.
But even that, this has definitely probably been the hardest one to predict year wise so far, other than maybe Toon Lagoon where you even put a year.
Right, right. Okay. So next
You
here
know, I
we
got
have
this is
the
the last one for Magic
Tomorrowland.
Kingdom.
Last one for Magic Kingdom, Tomorrowland Speedway.
And the main reason why I even put this on here is because I feel like it's gonna be a little bit redundant having, the Cars attraction and this in the same park. And this takes up a lot of real estate. So I think if they do the Tomorrowland overlay, where Grace Stitch's Great Escape and Laugh For eventually get replaced, I think, this opens up a decent chunk of land too. And they could mean, I would even argue that Stitch's Great Escape and Laugh Floor never fit in Tomorrowland anyway.
Yeah, you could say that. I also feel that you know with the Tomorrowland overlay or overhaul, I guess you could say. Carousel of Progress, Astro Orbiter, and Space Mountain should be safe, and
I
obviously
think
and
so.
obviously Tron.
Yeah, I think
As for everything else, I think it'll be as for everything else, I think will eventually be replaced. That includes Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I know they just updated the technology, but even that, I don't think I could see that changing in the next 5 to 10 years as well.
I mean, I didn't put that on there, but I could get behind it to a small extent. I always found it a little bit weird that they have, even though I think Space Ranger Spin's a much better ride than Toy Story Mania, that they had both shooting rides based off the same property in the same resort. I always thought that was a little weird,
It's
even though I
fair.
think Space Ranger Spin is a much better ride than Toy Story Mania. But what do I know? Last time I rode either one was 2009.
So you want to put a year on Tomorrowland Speedway?
Um, well, it ain't before Laugh Floor. I know that much. I would give it a 5 years, but I mean, cars ain't going to be open until 2031 at the soonest, given that infrastructure work is until
That's probably
2028.
the earliest.
So I think that it's either the year that opens or the year before. So 2030, 2031.
Okay, I think I could get behind that. Next here we have Journey into Imagination with Figment.
Now, I'm a little bit now Epcot. I had a little bit of a harder time with this. That's the only one for Epcot that's on here, and supposedly I heard that Josh D'Amaro still wants to use Figment as the main mascot of Epcot. So the ride might be removed, but it's just gonna be removed to be replaced with another Figment ride. I originally thought an Inside Out retheme. I don't, hearing that, I don't see it anymore. I think that's off the table.
So Josh Tomorrow did say that they want Figment to remain the face of Epcot.
Yep, I heard that from somewhere.
Okay, that's interesting.
And so they're gonna want to keep him in the park, but I mean, this ride hasn't been very well liked by a lot of people, so I still think it's on the chopping block regardless. But it's just gonna be replaced with. It sounds to me like it's just gonna end up being replaced with another Figment ride.
Here's a fun fact for you, Mike, that you probably don't know. The puppeteer who plays Gonzo with the Muppets, Dave Goelz, is the voice of Figment.
I did not know that actually.
Yeah, isn't that a pretty cool fun fact? I
That
didn't
is,
know that. I've been a huge Muppet guy my whole life, as you know, but I didn't know that up until a couple of years ago. But it's weird now when and I re-ride Figment, I hear it now. I'm like, oh, I could hear. I kind of hear the voice now. It's obviously a little different, but I can hear it. So
I would
fun fact
probably
there.
if I rewatched a POV, I would, and then yeah, if I rewatched a POV, I would probably be able to recognize it almost right away.
Yeah, now knowing, right.
As for
So
the year,
Figment, we're saying is safe.
yeah, I think it will go eventually, but I think we're maybe 8 years away at
Okay.
the soonest. If I had to put a year, I would say 2034.
Wow. Okay. That long.
And now we're on to Hollywood Studios, the part that does not need any rides removed. But I got four that I'm going to be listing. Two of them are going to be very controversial, but this one's not. I think
This
that
isn't a ride. This is a show.
yeah, but I don't think this has much left. I think it's running on borrowed time.
Ah, yeah. I'm not sure to be honest.
I mean, it
It's
suffers
been
from the
there for
fact
so
that
long though.
yeah, it's been there since 1991. I mean, it's barely, as far as I know, it has barely been updated since it's been there, and it feels like it's aging. And I feel like that this is kind of one of those that's very easily replaceable. And there was a rumor that a Tangled show was going to replace this at one point. It never came true, but you know, I another thing I could see is I know California Adventure had a Frozen show that shut down right around COVID and then never reopened. I could see them maybe bringing that into here, and it would be different enough from the Frozen sing along to where it would still probably do well.
Is the Frozen sing along even still popular?
I don't even know, to be honest. I know that the Frozen 2's music did not stick like the first ones did.
No, definitely not.
So I didn't put that on here, but I think it could go. I mean, I certainly think that this could too, but I think that this is probably the most endangered thing in studios short term right now.
Okay.
I would
Okay.
put
I
it,
think there's something to still having live entertainment though.
yeah, but I mean, I think they could always, I mean, they could give it an upgrade like they did with the Little Mermaid one that shut down, when COVID happened and then didn't reopen for 5 years. They could do, not saying they're going to close it for 5 years straight, but I'm just saying that they could do an updated one like that. That feels a little, that doesn't feel as long in the tooth.
Right.
But that's, I could see a straight up removal altogether though. I'm not taking that off the table.
Okay. We shall
I
see,
would
man.
I would put it 2030, I think.
Okay, so 4 years?
Yeah, for 2030, 2031.
Okay.
And now this one I know is
Ooh,
going to be very,
Indiana
very
Jones. Great
controversial.
show.
It is, but I'm looking at how much real estate that and Star Tours takes up. They want to put a new land, there after Monstropolis opens. That might be the place to do it. And they had the Boulder incident in December, and there's Indiana Jones already come into Animal Kingdom, and I know I'm just looking at how much space it takes up. I could see it. I would hate to see this go, but I could see it.
Man, I hate to see it go too.
I mean, it's like
Whenever I think of like my childhood going to Hollywood Studios, I think of the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. I think of Muppet Vision, Streets of America, the Backlot Tour, and Indiana Jones. Of those four things that I just mentioned, only one of the four is still there.
I was gonna say, like 90% of that park in its first like 15 years of opening is still there. This isn't even the same park as it was now that it was when I went in 2009. Like at least half of that's gone now.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida still having a lot of opening day attractions.
But I think that this is a potential possibility, mainly due to Animal Kingdom getting their own Indiana Jones ride, and how much space it takes up. It's like if they want to build like a Zootopia land or an Incredibles land, and it's sometime in the future, and it's at Outland even, this the area this and Star Tours is might be where to do it.
I would agree, man. I would
So,
agree.
do you think that this is in more immediate danger than Beauty and the Beast?
Hmm.
That
Well,
I'm a bit more
Indiana
conflicted.
Indiana Jones, I know for a fact, is way more expensive to put on compared to Beauty and the Beast. I honestly don't think Beauty and the Beast is. I don't think the budget for that show is all that high.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could.
Between Phantasmic, Indiana Jones, and Beauty and the Beast for three shows at the park, Beauty and the Beast is definitely at the bottom in terms of budget.
Oh, for sure. But I think as far as when we could see this go, I mean, Animal Kingdoms is supposed to open next year, but I could, if enough, depending on what happens, like construction between now and then, it could be 2028. I would say, I hate to even say it's 2029 is its final year,
I could see that.
which would give it a four. Which come to think about it, though, what that would give it like a 40-year run exact.
Right.
It
Yeah,
opened in 1989.
true. That is true.
And this kind of, I kind of spoiled the next one, but I think next one. I think Star Tours is potentially a possibility as well.
I don't.
Most
I really don't know. I really don't know. With where Star Wars
I
sits,
initially thought maybe they were going to remove it with Muppet Vision, but apparently not. But if they remove it with anything, it's going to be with Indy.
I would. Yeah, that's a fair point. It's just so bizarre currently where it sits between
Yeah,
Galaxy's Edge and there's like I guess you would consider that area Tatooine.
yeah, but I mean, I don't think having Launch Bay between Little Mermaid and Disney Junior made was any better.
No, definitely not.
That shit made no sense
I
while
think
it was.
George Lucas has. Don't quote me on this, but I think George Lucas said to Disney, "I will no longer work with you." It's basically what Steven Spielberg said to Universal about ET. I will no longer work with you guys if you remove Star Tours. I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere.
I I knew Spielberg said about E.T. I did not know about that, however. I
Yeah,
guess this
which I
kind of
mean,
changes
I mean, I
my
wouldn't be
sector a
surprised
little
if he
bit.
said that.
I mean, the main reason why I even put it on here is because Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is very very similar to it,
Right.
and I feel like the next new land at Hollywood Studios after Monstropolis opens, part of me just thinks it's gonna be the area where this in Indy is. But now hearing that, it sounds like it's a bit more complicated.
Yep.
But I
Definitely.
still can see it. I don't think it's any time. Yeah, Indy's probably going before this, especially given that that's the one that takes up a lot of space.
Definitely. So, what do we
Do you
have?
want to put a
Two
year on
left
this?
here?
June?
Yes, two
You
left
want to
here.
put a year on Star Tours or not quite?
No, because I'm not. I don't think we could. I don't think we should put a year on Star Tours because I. I mean, I guess.
I contemplated. I mean, Indiana Jones. I didn't really, I didn't contemplate putting on the list. I just put it on there. Star Tours. I kind of had a little bit. That one was a little bit more conflicting from the start.
I'll say 10 years for Star Tours, to be honest.
Yeah, but I think Indiana Jones is 2029 or 30.
Right now, villains
This one,
unfairly ever after. 2028. I mean,
I mean, I think it's gonna be a year before. I give it a year before Villains Land opens, and like we said before, 2033 is when that's gonna be if the infrastructure work isn't completed until 2028.
I'll be
And
honest,
so
man. I'll be
I think
honest.
2032 probably, but if they're thinking about doing something with Muppets, I could see them pushing to get rid of it a lot sooner than that.
I'll be honest, man. With how well the Muppet Show reboot has done, and I'm hopeful that Rock and Roller Coaster will have a positive reception once that reopens with the Electric Mayhem. I could see a I could see an attraction, a Muppets attraction in that theater. I really could.
Um, I'm not holding my breath on that yet, but it's not. It's given the state of the Muppets now, it's probably looking a little bit more promising than it did. But I'm not ready to hold my breath on that yet.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, the theater is perfectly set up to have Muppet Vision in there, and I think it would be almost stupid not to. I think. And I mean, I haven't seen the show, but it's based on based on the YouTube stuff I've seen. It looks like it would be a temporary show.
Yeah, most definitely.
So as far as a year, I mean, if Indy's 2029, do you think that this is before or after that?
Um, after, after.
So 2030. I mean, Villain's Land. We're looking at 2033. So I think 2031, 32
Yeah,
final year
yeah,
for this. That would give it like a 6, 7 year run.
yeah.
No
I
meme
could see that.
intended.
I could see that. I think that's a good number. And then
Animal
our
Kingdom.
last one here
Animal
is
Kingdom, I had a much harder time with this. Well, because for one, there wasn't much to choose from, And
That is true. There's really not
I
much at that
contemplated
park.
putting Kelly River Rapids on here, but I think that's gonna be some sort of IP retheme eventually. But I know that this, Finding Nemo reboot it's been struggling since it opened in 2022, really. And I looked at a park map, and where it is, it's literally in the middle of nowhere.
Hmm. Finding Nemo the musical. That is a great show, by the way. The puppetry is awesome.
Yeah, but I just think out of everything at Animal Kingdom, like this is more likely to go than Festival of the Lion King, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably.
I mean, I don't know how soon it is. It's definitely not till after Tropical America's open. It would be absolutely idiotic to close this while
I
that's
think
under
both are
construction.
so popular though that they both have an audience. So I mean, it's very rare that you see either of those shows and the theater's dead. There always is an audience. So
Yeah, I mean, Animal Kingdom I had a much harder time with to begin with, but well, there wasn't that much to choose from.
I hear you
But
on that.
I mean, and what's in this theater has been
Animal Kingdom's in a weird spot right now.
yeah, and like this theater has had this is like the I want to say like the third different show since it opened.
Yeah, I'm not positive on that.
I want to
Um,
say there was Jungle Book, then that got replaced with Tarzan. That one lasted a couple of years, then that got replaced with
was
this. I
were
think.
they all in that theater? Okay, I didn't know, I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
I believe so. Don't quote me, but I believe so.
I knew there was a show prior to Finding Nemo, but I didn't realize there's been
The other one,
two other ones
the,
prior.
the
Okay,
first one was very short lived, like 2 years.
okay, I didn't realize that.
But I just think out of everything in Animal Kingdom, this one probably has the best shot at going. But I don't think it's anytime soon. Certainly not until well after Tropical Americas opens.
Yeah, I would say 5 to 10 years.
I would say, I'm not even putting a year on this one. I'll just say 5 to 10. Now, do you think that there's anything? Do you have anything else in mind for Animal Kingdom, or do you think that this is the only one that's really at any risk?
Well, I would have said it's tough to be a bug, but that obviously just
Yeah.
got replaced with Zootopia. So now, yeah, no, this would be the only one that I would probably think of.
I mean, and like if we had done this is another thing I kind of wanted to mention. If we had done this exact video in like let's say like maybe very late 2019, very early 2020, I would have a lot of what I would have had on this list. A lot of what I would have had on the list has in fact closed since. I would have had Muppets on there. Sadly, I got that right. I would have had Lost Continent on there, Dino Land,
Yeah, but
Shrek.
nobody thought Muppets was going to be around as long as it was. We can be
Yeah,
grateful that it lasted as long as it did. I can't even believe it lasted through Galaxy's Edge. I thought for sure when Galaxy's Edge was announced that Muppet Vision was going to go. I mean,
I
to
mean,
be honest, I'm surprised that Galaxy's Edge isn't having an expansion. I mean, feels like 60% of that park is Star Wars.
yeah, I mean that
Between
was
that, Launch
probably.
Bay, well, obviously Launch Bay is finally getting taken out. Thank goodness, because that was just a waste of space.
I mean,
And Star Tours.
that was part of why I thought maybe I had this small layer of hope that Monstropolis was going to go in Animation Courtyard, but I think kind of like the big thing with that was that there was that new show that was just opening last year that they obviously weren't going to close immediately in favor of something else.
Right.
And it's like the minute that more like photos for that were released, I was like, oh, it's gonna be Muppets, 100%.
Yeah.
But multiple other things. If we had done this video in like late 2019, early 2020, I would have predicted Shrek 4D. I would have predicted Rip Ride Rocket, Kid Zone, Dinoland USA, Lost Continent, and sure enough, all those have in fact closed since.
Yep.
And I figured I probably should mention at the start of the video. This is all purely speculation. We're not confirming anything, but I think everything we talked about. I think the one that's the most likely, see you later, goodbye in the next, probably even under a year at this point is Laugh For.
Definitely. I would absolutely agree. All right, Mike. Well, it looks like we're all done here. This was cool, man. Definitely great conversation. Um, Hope everybody enjoyed listening.
I think it'll be very interesting come 2036, 10 years from now. Look back on this and see how much we actually got right.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be watching it back in 10 years. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, this was great, Mike. Great
Oh,
idea.
yeah.
Definitely, we'll have to do something like this again.
Oh,
So,
for sure.
thanks for tuning in. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And Mike,
Peace.